Hey guys, so I think it's time that we talked about Lineage of Evil. It is definitely looking very likely that we're going to get some kind of Lineage of Evil release at the end of the month. Most likely an Ultra character. We do have a Sparking Limit Break banner up right now, which typically indicates that the banner that we're going to get after that is going to be either some really hype LF or an Ultra of some kind. And because we just got an LF, with a Super Baby 2, I think it's more likely that we are going to get an Ultra. They typically tend to release Ultras at the end of the month. I mean, I guess it's possible. It could be a second LF. They did that with GT, but it's more of an anomaly, I would say, than the norm. So my thought process here is this is going to be some kind of Ultra LOE character, which obviously is pretty good. LOE is a tag that has been neglected for a very long time. So what I want to do in this video is to go through the options on this team, and I want to talk about what we can expect. Like what kind of release could we get that would bring this tag back into relevance? And I already know the answer, okay? And I'm sure a lot of you guys know the answer as well. But regardless, let's break down the tag right now. Let's talk about what it does well. Let's talk about what it doesn't do well. And I have a bunch of other teams pulled up. These are what I consider to be the other best teams in the game. We have Saiyans, Sun Family, Androids, and GT. I think these are probably the 4 best tags that exist right now. A lot of times you'll see people using like mixtures of different tags with the leader slot. So for example, one really popular team to use right now is Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan on Androids. You know, leadered on Androids with Super 17 and Revival Red Cell. But the best teams always come down to some kind of mixture of these 4 tags and the characters within these tags. So that's why I pulled this up. It is a good reference point to look at these tags when we're talking about like what makes and comprises a good team in this game. So the current situation with LOE is not very good. I would argue, and I've been saying this for a while, I would say that LOE right now is probably at its worst point almost ever. In fact, it might be at the worst point it's ever been, besides like when it first released, back when Purple Chilled first dropped next to Super Saiyan Bardock on that Ultra Space Time banner. This is a legendarily bad time for LOE. So the question is, how do we bring the team back from being this far behind other teams right now? Like, if we take a look at the tag overall, what characters are even remotely viable right now? I would say Golden Frieza is okay. This yellow Golden Frieza. This guy's not that old. He released in part 1 of Legends Fest next to Blue Kaioken Goku Evolution Blue Vegeta on their banner. He was pretty good when he came out. The game has since evolved since part 1 of Legends Fest. I would say that power creep has certainly ramped up a lot. Goku and Bardock, Ultra UI Goku. We have Super 17, we have Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. I mean, this Frieza is not even remotely keeping up with any of those characters. So, again, he's not bad, but he's not going to be moving the needle at all for LOE right now. Now, Goku and Frieza, there's been a lot of talk and discussion about this character recently, at least that I've seen. I think it's more so on the, I guess, Western side of things. I haven't seen any single person in, the JP community or... I'm not really too in tune with the European community in this game, but mostly what I've seen is people from the North American community and just the Western community in general talking about this character recently. I don't really see where that's coming from. The only thing that I can really say in terms of what gives this character merit in the environment right now is what I just mentioned. That team that people use a lot is Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan on Androids with Super 17 and Revival Cell. Obviously, if you end up in the perfect situation with Goku and Frieza, they potentially could have type advantage over that entire team, right? Goku being purple has type advantage over Gohan, and then Frieza being blue has type advantage over Super 17 and Revival Cell, as if that really matters. Like, this character has type advantage over Super 17, and Super 17 comes in and rips this character's head off. Like, it doesn't matter. And the same thing with Gohan. Gohan comes in and just tears this, like, Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan basically makes Goku look like a Cell Jr. from the Cell Jr. Fight that they had against Gohan. That's what this character looks like before Super 17 and Ultra Gohan. Like, you can go ahead and give them the max, juiced up build with 4 Zenkai buffs, and I will concede that they can do good damage, right? And that is something that I will concede in terms of just what are the strengths of LOE in general, I would say that LOE actually has the potential to do some pretty solid damage even still with how old a lot of the roster is. They just have always had that potential. They have a lot of support. They have pretty decent equipment options and a lot of really good Zenkai bench options. So the damage department, I wouldn't really say this team is that behind a lot of other teams. But the area where they're lacking in terms of offense is there's no ease of combo, right? When you talk about what are the best teams in the game, you look at, and also just what are the best characters in the game. I think everyone could agree at this point, the two best characters in the game are Super 17 and Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. In terms of who's bad, it doesn't really matter. But to me, it seems there is a very clear distinction between those two characters and the rest of the game at this point. And what makes those characters as good as they are, it's ease of combo. And in terms of Gohan as well, I would say that Gohan just has so many defensive options as well. He has a counter blue card, he has an AoE green card, he has his auto unique age against all melee-based actions. LOE has none of that. There's nothing on LOE that is even remotely competing with that kind of utility from Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, and there's no character on LOE that is demolishing entire teams and crippling teams by touching them one time like Super 17 does. And there's other characters that are kind of similar as well. I mean, Goku and Bardock on the Saiyan or Sun family team can very easily chain together super long combos. It's really easy for them to do that. Ultra UI Goku has an anti-switch mechanic. I mean, that's still to this day one of the most broken. I mean, it's not, I say to this day as if this character's that old. He's like 3 months old now, but this character touches you one. I mean, like, this is the example I was using when I was doing, I think it was the cooler equipment showcase or something like that. But I'm like, we get touched one time with any of our characters against UI Goku, and we instantly lose a unit. Like, there's no one on this team that can eat hits at all. And that is the biggest weakness that I feel LOE has right now, is not only do they not really have ease of combo access with any of these characters, although in a vacuum they could potentially do good damage. The biggest issue with this team and this tag and all the characters that exist on this tag is the fact that literally not a single character on this team can tank whatsoever. Now, that's not really saying much, considering I would argue that the entire game has the same issue, except for like Ultra Gohan. It's just Ultra Gohan and UI and like those characters that have those ridiculously special and ridiculously overpowered unique gauges where they just stop the opponent's combos. Like, that's the kind of utility that this team needs. There are very few characters in the game that can tank. I think still the best character that is in terms of defense right now is probably the Spirit Bomb GT Goku. This guy does a really good job at tanking, even against like Ultra Gohan. You remember, he goes type neutral upon entry. He's healing a lot. He's increasing the opponent's arts cost so that he can cripple their combo potential a lot. This character is a very, very powerful defensive unit. LOE needs like a cracked out version of that Goku to even be remotely competitive defensively. There is no character on this team that can tank a hit at all. And so what you end up with in terms of the current situation for LOE is a team full of characters that have the potential to do good damage, but don't really do good damage because a lot of the time they just get their combos interrupted, and then when they get touched once, they just explode immediately because they're so fragile. Every single character in the team is fragile. So what are really like the units on this team that have potential? I think, again, a lot of people are talking about Goku and Frieza. I think they have potential. I'm not going to say they don't have potential, because undoubtedly they have a lot of mechanics that you can utilize that are pretty good. They have Vanish Restoration. They have pretty good green cards, card draw speed. They go type neutral and the enemy uses a blue or an ultimate. Obviously, their Rising Rush unique age is still pretty damn good. Defensively, they're paper. That's, again, the entire team is paper. But, looking at Goku and Frieza as a character, like, right now, I think it's pretty obvious they're the best character on this team, and it's not close. We got the Zenkai for full power Frieza. They messed up. He's just not good, not even close to good enough. We got a Zenkai for green Golden Frieza. He's okay. He's not as good as he should be. And then we just got a Zenkai for this green cooler. He's not good enough. So they're 0 for 3 on recent LOE Zenkais, which is not good for the future of the LOE team. This guy's Zenkai should have been a lot better. This guy's Zenkai, I would say it's actually fine, but the problem with this guy's Zenkai is they missed the window where this would have been impactful. There's like 2 or 3 prime opportunities that they had to Zenkai this character over the past 3 years that they just for some reason didn't take. and they Zenkai'd him during a period where this is going to have like very little to zero impact on the game, and that's what we're seeing right now. This cooler, I mean, I don't even understand this at all. Like, I don't think there's any time where I would have wanted this character to get a Zenkai, and especially not now where LOE really, really needed it. I think the character that should have gotten a Zenkai is this guy right here, this first form revival Frieza, or not first form, final form revival Frieza from Namek. This is step one to getting LOE back into some sort of relevance into the game. If you look at every team, so let's talk about Saiyans. What's the best Saiyan lineup right now? Well, UI and Goku and Bardock are pretty much a set. Like you don't have to run them together, but this is a really, even still, this is a really, really powerful setup. These two together, UI Goku and Bardock. And then your third character can either be the Spirit Bomb Goku or Pikkon and Gogeta. So your third best unit on your team is going to be a revival character that supports, or a really good defensive character that has a lot of utility with the Solar Flare. You can lock in, you can go type neutral. So that's really what your third best character is looking like. Sun Family is kind of the same thing, except now we have Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan in here. I think probably the best version of Sun Family right now is just Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, UI Goku and Bardock. But on this team, Goku and Bardock sort of fulfill a different role than they would on that Saiyan team I just talked about. Goku and Bardock on the Saiyan team are kind of your point character where they're doing most of the damage. And you're, I guess, utilizing the green cards and subcount manipulation by UI Goku to just, you know, amplify how much of an impact that Goku and Bardock have on the fight with their offense. On the Sun Family team, your offensive character is going to be Gohan. Gohan's going to be the main character you're switched into most of the time. He has his unique gauge, he has his counters, he has his AoE green cards. He's your character that you're going to be utilizing for most of the match to do damage and just to hold down the fort in terms of field presence. Goku and Bardock on this setup, I think, mostly take a backseat to Gohan, and the reason why they're still good enough to use on this team is because of their indestructible. So again, the third best character on this Sun Family setup is a character that has an indestructible / revive / survivability ability mechanic. Androids. There's really 4 relevant, really good android characters right now. I mean, I like the Gammas, but they're not really relevant right now. Maybe they will get a resurgence at some point in the future. 16 is solid, but he just doesn't really fit on the blast-centric android team right now, I would argue. So the characters that I think are most relevant on androids right now, Super 17 obviously. Purple Cell is pretty good. You have to be really, really careful when it comes to facing UI Gokus though. But this guy could be really, really effective against Ultra Gohan, which is one of the most common units that you find right now. And then Blue 17 and then Revival Cell. So I'd say Revival Cell, Blue 17, Purple Cell, and 17, Super 17 are the 4 most relevant characters on the android setup. So like, who's the third best character that you're going to be using on this team? Android 17, who has an uncancelable endurance mechanic, and Revival Cell, who has a revive, obviously. And again, like I mentioned, most of the time what ends up happening with this android setup is people will just put Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan on an android team with Super 17 and Revival Cell being your third best character, having a revive. Next, we have GT. So GT's best team up until Super Baby 2's release was Super 17, Ultra Spirit Bomb, or I guess just Spirit Bomb GT Goku, and Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. I still think Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta is a very good character, but if you're looking at these characters from a perspective of 14 stars, God rank, you're fighting the best players, best equips, etc., I actually think I do prefer Baby over Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. So I think the best setup for GT right now is Super 17, Baby, and then this Goku. Once again, third best character on this team is a very defensive character, has type neutrality, has an uncancelable endurance mechanic, has a lot of utility. So you guys are seeing a pattern here. The third best character on like all of these setups is some kind of survivability mechanic character. Either revival, indestructible, uncancelable endurance, bring some kind of support, bring some kind of utility. One of those, all of the above are factors that make for a really good third best character on the team. Now, you could argue that Goku and Frieza would make that cut as well. But the problem with this is that Goku and Frieza right now are by far the best character on this team. And I don't even know if they would make the third best character on any of these teams, right? If Goku and Frieza, like let's just say, for example, Goku and Frieza was Frieza and Cell from GT, but they were the same exact characters, Goku and Frieza, that exist in the game right now. Would you use them on this GT team over Baby, Super 17, or Goku? My answer would probably be no. I don't think so. So the best character on LOE right now doesn't even make the cut onto like GT, onto their main lineup. Goku and Frieza wouldn't make the cut onto androids, and I don't think they make the cut into Sun Family or Saiyans either. So the question then becomes, if Goku and Frieza is your third best character on the team, would that mean that the team is good enough to compete with these other teams? Potentially, right? I think if there's a world where we get enough LOE love, where LOE gets like 2 really powerful either ultras or maybe like 1 ultra, 1 LF, or maybe like an ultra, and then they like for some reason go all out and give us like some insane 1% sparking character, like as good as like Blue Zamasu was when he came out. And then Goku and Frieza ends up being like the third best character on the team. I think it's possible that the team could be good enough, but the point and the reason why I'm talking about this is because even if Goku and Frieza are the third best character on this team, there's a chance that the team still might not be good enough to compete with all these other ridiculous teams. And I think the odds of us getting 2 like insane characters for LOE, we're going to get 1 at least, right? I think an ultra character on LOE certainly is going to be the best character on this team. It's not even going to be remotely close. I expect the ultra to be at least on par with Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and Super 17, if not better. They probably do have to be better at this point to, you know, even propel LOE to be relevant whatsoever. But it's a rough spot because this team not only needs an ultra of that level, but then they also need another really good character. And so that's why I was saying, I said this over on social media a few times, but this guy really needed to get a Zenkai. It was like step 1 to getting LOE back into relevance. Step number 1 was to give this character a Zenkai. That it's like when you open you know, like a Bionicle, and it's like how to build, and it gives you the instructions. Like step 1 is Zenkai this Frieza. Like this is what needed to happen, and I think there's really no path to LOE becoming relevant to the point where they're going to be competing with these other really good teams where you don't Zenkai this Revival Frieza. What he's doing and what he's bringing to it's just way too important. He's got type neutrality, he's obviously got the revive, he's got Dragon Ball destruction, he's got support. This is a really insane unit for when he came out. Now, I'm not saying you can't still run him, because you can, but he's just like, if you're actually going to be seriously running this guy in your team, like that's how you know your team is just not even close to good enough to be run. I mean, you can't use this character now. We need a modern version of this. And I'm not even saying like, you know, this character needs to be like a top 5 character. If they gave this character a Zenkai, I'm assuming they would give him a very, very minor buff to all of his mechanics, right? When Revival Cell got his Zenkai, he didn't get like some insane boost. Like this Cell is not like top 5 in the game. I think as long as this first form, or not, I keep saying first form, as long as this final form Frieza Revival character got, I don't know, some kind of comparable Zenkai to the Revival Cell, this guy would be honestly one of the golden tickets to this tag becoming relevant again. So it would be this character's Zenkai plus a busted Ultra, and then you could run this character as like your third best unit on the team or something. That's what I could see a path for this team, but it doesn't look like they are going to Zenkai this Frieza. They decided to go with Golden Frieza and then Green Cooler instead. So we'll see. I don't know. In terms of color, I guess we could talk about for potential release on this team for an Ultra character. I'm going to actually make a claim that I don't think many people are going to expect, and I'm going to say that it doesn't matter. Color doesn't matter on this team for like the release, because this team has bad colors for all characters, right? This team doesn't have a dominant yellow. This team doesn't have a dominant green. This team doesn't have a dominant blue. This team doesn't have a dominant purple, and the team doesn't have a dominant red. So it doesn't matter what the color is. So I think instead of looking at what color would be best for LOE right now, I think what we should be looking at instead is what color should the character be to have the most impact in the game compared to what is meta right now. So like I mentioned, I think the two most meta relevant characters, the two characters that are shaping the meta right now, are Super 17 and Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. So I think either purple or blue would be the best options for an Ultra for this team. Not because purple and blue are the 2 weakest colors in this team. In fact, I'd probably argue those are the 2 best colors in this team because of Goku and Frieza. But that's what the meta has right now, right? If let's just say, I don't know, it's Ultra. This is what I think is going to be Ultra Full Power Frieza from Namek. If we get an Ultra Full Power Frieza from Namek and he's purple, that'll help this team become a lot more effective against Ultra Gohan. If we get an ultra full power Frieza who's blue, that'll help this team become a lot more effective against Super 17. I think if I had to choose which of those two colors I would want for a release here, I think I would choose purple, mainly because if we got a blue character, this team would be really susceptible to Gohan, right? Because we'd have basically 1.5 blue units, with the new Ultra being blue and then this character being half blue. And then potentially even this character being blue as well. So that we'd be super blue heavy and we'd be super susceptible to Ultra Gohan. I think something else they could do right now in terms of not even just color, but also just, what was I going to say? Also just in terms of like mechanics. So the meta right now is extremely blast heavy. We have the two best characters in the game. I mean, Super 17, this is probably the most blast-centric character we've ever seen. Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is definitely more blast-centered. Ultra UI Goku is more blast-oriented. So a lot of these top units in the game, I would argue right now, are a lot more blast-focused. Even like GT Goku is blast, a little bit more blast-focused. So what they could do is we could get a character, like, again, Ultra Full Power Frieza from Namek, who has a unique gauge that is basically just as Gohan's unique gauge, except it's just for blast cards. That would help deter not only Super 17, but also Gohan and also Ultra UI Goku as well. All these blast-centric, even like Pikkon is blast-based, right? We have a lot of blast-based. Let's just pull up the normal character list and we'll see and go through like who's like super blast-based right now. Ultra Gohan is blast-based. UI Goku is blast-based. Who's like relevant? This Trunks is, you don't really see him that often, but he's blast-based. Baby is not really blast-based. Super Vegeta is not relevant. Super 17 is blast-based. Goku is blast-based. These guys are kind of mixed. These guys you don't really see, but they are technically more blast-oriented. Pikkon is more blast-oriented. That's really it. So I would say the majority of meta characters right now are more blast-oriented. So some kind of unique gauge, again, similar to like UI Goku or Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan that is a blast version would be really, really effective, I think, in terms of just adding a lot more defensive potential to this team, just in terms of what the meta is right now, because a lot of characters are more blast oriented. And then just going quickly back to the color discussion, you know what's crazy to me? The last major purple release that we saw, major release being Ultra or LF, the last one was Path to Power Kid Goku. I think he came out in August. So we're talking August, September, October, November, December, January, February. We're talking 8 months ago was our last major purple release. 8 months. Since then, we've gotten like 4 or 5 really powerful green characters. So I think what was the... It might have been the Ultra Gohan reveal where I talked about this, where I was saying like, they're going so long without giving us a purple character, and they're just constantly feeding us green character after green character after green character. It feels like they're building up to some insane purple character release. And I can't think of a team that needs to have that kind of release more to impact the game as much as LOE. It's just such a bad team right now. So that's really what I'm thinking in terms of the current situation of the LOE team. Now, as a conclusion, like I said at the beginning, like what could they actually do for this team to help it to the best of their ability? If they are not, I'm going to make this is a very, very bold claim here. If they are not going to Zenkai Revival Final Form Frieza, I think this is the most important thing, besides like giving us like a top 2 character in the game, Ultra Unit. I think this is the single most important thing they can do for this team, is to Zenkai this Final Form Revival Frieza right now. If they don't Zenkai this Frieza, I think they shouldn't even focus on LOE. I think what they should do is, instead of giving us like a full power Frieza Ultra character, I think they should give us like an Ultra Metal Cooler who could be a really good inclusion on LOE, but his main team would be like Movies or Regen or something. Unfortunately, that's how I feel, right? If they're not going to go all in with LOE, which would include Zenkaiing this Final Form Frieza, which would include giving us some kind of really strong 1% sparking on top of the Ultra character, then they should not even go all in, or even, partly in with LOE, and we should get some kind of character that fits on LOE, but also helps other teams as well. So again, my suggestion of like a Metal Cooler Ultra character, who, again, Metal Cooler is actually a character that doesn't just help LOE, he's helping Regen, he's helping Movies, obviously, and he's on Powerful Opponent. So I think like the Movie and Regen additional buffs that Metal Cooler could provide on top of LOE could at least give LOE some kind of step up. so that we can build up to a good position for LOE. So what this would mean is, so it's like Ultra Metal Cooler drops right now. Maybe LOE isn't like as insane as the best teams in the game are, but maybe, you know, I don't know, down the line at some point, maybe in like, I don't know, after Anniversary ends or something like that, we could get an LF of an LOE character. And at that point, we'd have a really strong Ultra for this team. We'd have a really strong LF for this team. And at that point, maybe they can Zenkai this Final Form Frieza. So that could be a direction they take. But I think it's either you go all in with LOE right now or you don't. It's one or the other. You can't, like, I think the number one mistake they can make right now is they drop an Ultra Full Power Frieza. Because if we take a look at Full Power Frieza's teams, Full Power Frieza is on 2 teams. He's on LOE and Powerful Opponent, right? There's nothing else. Frieza Saga is not a team. They mistakenly tried to make Frieza Saga a team during the Frieza Saga celebration, and it failed. Much like every other time they tried to Zenkai, or much like every other time they tried to buff a Saga team during these episode campaigns, it always fails. Every single time. So this guy really only has 2 teams, Powerful Opponent and Lineage of Evil, and I guess Frieza Force. Frieza Force is kind of just like a slightly different version of LOE. I don't really like to differentiate these. Honestly, these tags should have been combined to begin with. I don't really know why they're separated. But those are his teams. So if they're going to go down the path of giving us like an ultra full power Frieza, then they have to go all in with LOE, which means Zenkaiing this guy and potentially giving us some more LOE characters, maybe on a Mega Rising as well or something like that. But if they're not going to do that and they're just going to drop ultra full power Frieza and then that's it, I would rather they just not do that. I would rather they just not drop him now. I would rather they just drop an Ultra Metal Cooler, who could potentially be a nice inclusion in helping Lineage of Evil for the time being, but then simultaneously also help other teams at the same time. So that's what I'm thinking in terms of the path that they should take for LOE. Ultra Full Power Frieza by himself, even if he was the best character in the game on release, like if he was better than Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and he was better than Super 17, which I think he would have to be anyway, one character like that is not going to propel this team to being better than all of these other teams that exist here. So let me know down below what you think. We'll see what happens, but it's very clear that there's going to be some kind of LOE release at the end of this month. We'll see what it ends up being. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one.